question actually that follows up with that. As far as the perimeter trail and the maintenance of the actual structures itself, is that separate from the educational maintenance as far as the forestry and geology and all of those things? And is there a way to, in the future, to possibly have a committee that would, take both those, concerns?
Yeah, we've proposed in the strategic planning process to start to think about the domain like the library. The library has a staff. It's an educational asset. You certainly wouldn't let the air conditioning run down. You wouldn't want the books to rot. You wouldn't want, there are certain things you do with that educational asset and it's a vital part of all departmental use within the school. The domain is becoming very much the same way, and yet we don't treat it that way. We don't have a budget for roads. We don't have a budget for trails, and we don't, importantly, have a unified set of staff who meet on a regular basis to not only take care of the day-to-day operations in a sort of a coordinated fashion, but then start to look at the long-term horizon sorts of things. We've never had that. And think about the most immediate things that are important to our students: education, but also safety. I mean, safety is so absolutely critical. We can't send kids down into Lost Cove and have them shot. I mean, that's not going to work, So much for our 3,000 acres. So we have to make sure that we have the right staff in place to make sure that that asset is safe for our students before they can start using and thinking about creative ways that we can move forward with that. So I think that's a real challenge that we have, that we've got to embrace, because if we don't, we're kidding ourselves. I mean, we wouldn't let the library run down. Why should we let this other most important strategic asset fall into into those kinds of trappings? Any other questions? Yeah.
This is a quick one. So I was a geology major, and I know that some other people here were forestry or natural resources majors. And so I graduated in 2004, so not that long ago, but it seems like there's been a shift in the curriculum, or an expansion in the curriculum towards more environmental studies from like a humanities viewpoint or a liberal arts viewpoint. And I'm wondering if you, or the faculty generally, are envisioning a shift away from the more technical skills in terms of, silviculture, forest management, or geology for mineral exploitation or petroleum. Do you see this as like an expansion of the curriculum or a shift away from those more extractive industries?
Well, I think that we'll always have our core programs. I think forestry and geology they've had a strong historical program in that regard. What environmental studies did was to really push the university, like so many other schools have done, into a truly interdisciplinary way, interdepartmental focus, how to look at solving environmental problems from a multidisciplinary standpoint, which forestry and geology play a role. And that's where their natural resource major is part of the environmental studies program. There is still a geology and still a forestry major, which is more, I think, in line with what you're talking about. They're not environmental studies majors. Just like biology has a biology major and a biochemistry major, which are separate from its ecology and biodiversity major, which is subtended under environmental studies. So the environmental studies is this cross-campus, interdisciplinary, liberal arts, across-the-board new approach, if you will, that most schools are taking that gives students, from whatever discipline they want to approach that, a way of looking at how we should go about solving environmental problems and showing where the liberal arts connection is there. So no, I don't think we're abandoning anything in the past. I think we're building and expanding on where we've been. I think historically it's been students that just sort of created their own majors because they couldn't do what we're talking about. What we've done is provided a home for it. And I suspect, given the interdisciplinary, just the interchange between all these departments and the desire among students to do that, that the major will merge even more over time. In other words, we have these 5 different majors that will probably become tracks of one major. I don't know, but I think that's where the student desire is to have a major that gives greater discourse among disciplines.
Okay, thank you for spending your Saturday morning with us.